Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes, and welcome to a recap of night number 14 of Big Brother season 25. These house guests are stressing me out. They are tiring me out. It was a rough day and night of watching feeds, not because there wasn't a lot of conversation. There was. Here's the issue. These house guests don't know what they want to do. I truly think that this is the situation. We've got some house guests who have a gut feel, are maybe making decisions based on their heart, based on emotions. And then they start thinking about it. They start thinking about the logics of some of these decisions. They flip that way. Then they start getting emotional again. They flip again. These house guests are having a hard time making a decision. The theme throughout the entire evening is, who are we sending home Thursday night? And it's been difficult watching it because just when I think I have a peg on what's going on, they flip the other way. And I realize it's because they just don't know. And there's people who are getting a little bit tired of the flip-flopping and are just ready to make a decision. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. All right, so first of all, what do we know is going on in the Big Brother house right now? Well, about the only thing we know for certain, a couple of things. We know for certain that no one likes Hisam in this house. Hisam is certainly target number one once he gets through being HOH. So we know that, and we know that Cameron and Riley are on the block. One or the other is going home on Thursday, and that's about it. Everything else is up in the air. All right, there were a lot of conversations, so let's just get right into it. First of all, we started off the day just as we finished off the recap last night or yesterday of who do we send home, Riley or Cameron, and it's been bouncing back and forth the whole time. Now, it doesn't help any that the backyard is now shut down. They're getting ready to build the set. In fact, a few people can hear construction and everything going on in the backyard. Man, while I was in that house, we would put our ear up against that back gate, the back door, and just try to see if we could figure out what kind of competition was going on based on what kind of noises we heard. Were there beeps from front loaders and dump trucks coming in? Was it sounds of a bunch of saws and drills? The smallest little sound would make us think it was going to be this competition, etc. So they're certainly hearing some sounds in the backyard, but the main thing is that the backyard is shut down. Once you lose that fresh air, you feel trapped inside. Everyone just gets that much more stressed, that much more paranoid about everything that's going on. And it reflected in the conversations that were held last night and this morning. So the backyard is shut down. Now, at the start of the day, it really seemed that Riley was staying, that people were starting to lean that direction. Keep her, let her go after Hisam, and it just seemed like Riley was looking at a pretty decent chance to stick around. Maybe not so much by the end. We had early in the day Izzy and Sari talking about a potential plan to work with Riley and Matt. This group of four maybe making something happen going forward. There's a lot of people who they're all focused on wanting Hisam out. That's okay. And as long as they talk about that, everyone's on the same page. It's what happens beyond that point where there's a lot of scrambling going on. But yeah, Sari and Izzy are actually talking about the possibility of working with Matt and Riley going forward. They're wanting to obviously pull Jared into that group as well. But they're also wondering and thinking about how they're going to potentially tell Mimi and Bowie Jane of this plan to keep Riley, because again, they've been bouncing back and forth and now want to keep her. So how do we explain that to Bowie Jane? How do we explain that to Nicole, to Mimi, especially Mimi, because we saw some more throughout the evening. We had a couple more sessions of Mimi. She's not really talking to the cameras, but she's alone and she's vocalizing out loud what she's thinking. And primarily what she's been thinking of is, this is crazy. Why are we going back and forth? Just get rid of Riley and be done with it. So Izzy and Sari are saying, all right, if we keep Riley, how are we going to explain this to Bowie Jane and Nicole? All right, we got Jared and Izzy upstairs. Izzy's not so sure about keeping Riley. See, I remember it just goes back and forth. Izzy's not so sure about keeping Riley, but she also wants to make sure that Hisam knows that he can't run the house. I said it last night and I'll say again, I think Izzy, a lot of what she's doing isn't based necessarily on what's best for her game, but just shutting down Hisam, who she really feels wronged her and others in the house by the way he has talked to her, by the way he's tried to run everything. It's not so much about who I'm trying to save, it's how can I best punish Hisam. I feel like that a lot of times when Izzy's speaking. So she's not sure about keeping Riley, but she just doesn't want to give in and do what Hisam wants to have done either. So we've got that. There's talk about who would go on the block if Riley stayed and won HOH. And there's a discussion that probably it would be Bowie Jane maybe as a pawn, with obviously Hisam as the target. Bowie Jane needs to be careful. I've heard a lot of people throughout the evening casually throwing her name out, not because anyone dislikes her. There's a little bit of mistrust with Izzy and Sari and them about how they feel about Bowie Jane, but there's a lot of people that are just kind of throwing her name up there saying, yeah, she hadn't really done anything. She's not that hard aligned with anyone. She's a bit of a floater. She'd be easy to put up. Bowie Jane needs to, I think, make some declarations, get a little bit more involved in the game, or else she's going to find herself as a perpetual pawn here before too long at all. So they are talking about that a little bit. Corey is saying that he really feels closer to Riley right now. And that's got Jared a little bit worried about the two of them working together and how that's going to affect Corey and which way he votes on this thing. Jared, in fact, mentions, he says, look, man, I like Riley as well, but there are way too many people in this house right now who are willing to fight and fall on a sword for Riley. If there's that many people that are fighting so hard for her, maybe that's not who we want in the house. So yeah, Jared definitely sees the charisma that Riley has carried with a lot of these people, and that's worries him about keeping her and letting her potentially consolidate her power back if she stays. We've got Jared thinking that Cameron could be an easy out next week instead. And this is where logic's coming into play. He sees the possibility if Riley sticks around, she could become a dominant force again, whereas he sees Cameron as just always being a little isolated from everyone else. So he's easy picking. So why spend all this time, all this effort to get Cameron out this week if you can go after Riley? And Cameron will still be there next week. Hisam's still going to be there next week. Kind of a target-rich environment right now in this house. A few people still left to be dealt with. So he's saying, we can get Cameron next week. Why are we so worried about this? We do have Jared saying that Jag will likely vote out Riley. Now, I wasn't sure if this is maybe part of this plan that was discussed a day or so ago. I think it was Sari and Izzy saying, let's convince Blue and Jag that we're all voting out Riley, and then we'll all vote to save her. Let them go ahead and throw her under the bus by voting against her, and then she'll turn on them, and we don't have to worry about Riley developing this big group. I thought it was a great strategy at the time, but that may be what Jared is referring to, saying that Jag is going to actually vote out Riley. Weren't those two supposed to be final two just a week ago? My, how quickly things change. So there was a little bit of talk about that, and are Jag and Blue really tight with Riley? I think they are. Based on later conversations, they're still talking to Riley about how to save herself. But as Corey's going to mention as well, they were certainly quick to throw her under the bus when they thought it worked for their game as well. So, loyalty only goes so far in the game of Big Brother with most house guests in these groups. All right, we've got Sari talking to Jag about these new working groups. Remember, we had Sari and Izzy talking about trying to work with other groups a little bit earlier. Sari is saying that her and Jag and Blue and Izzy and Felicia and Jared and maybe America and maybe Mimi, Nicole, that works out to 8 people still. Now you got 15 people in the house, so 8 votes. Of course, there's only going to be 12 votes cast this week. The HOH and the 2 nominees don't vote, so you really only need 7 people going forward to even control this game. But Sari's looking at still a group of 8 people. You have that many people, even if one of your people is on the block, you still have control of the vote. So maybe that's what she's thinking. That's too big an alliance at this time. Haven't they learned that when you have that big group, someone talks? There's always someone who talks. So Yeah, but she's thinking grand. We'll just leave it at that because she is talking to Jag, and Jag's receptive to it. It seems like. All right, we've got Jared and Cirie and Izzy talking. Cirie and Izzy are still upset that Hisam formed this new alliance with Jag and Blue and didn't tell them. I think they called out Hisam at some point, and Hisam said, "Yeah, it wasn't real, and it wasn't an alliance. It's just me trying to pull him in." Hisam's just trying to create protection by wanting everyone to think that he wants to work with them if their name isn't Riley, and so yeah, he's been making some overtures, as has Cirie, as has Izzy, as has everyone. But they're calling him out a little bit because he had told everyone he didn't want anyone forming new groups going forward. Yeah, he's still forming a little bit. All right, we've got Jared and Izzy talking. Jared is saying that he's in. If she is, he's starting to just get tired of the back and forth. He's saying, whatever you want to do, just tell me at this point in time. But he tells Izzy he's in with whatever she wants to do. Izzy says that she still wants to talk to Corey. She wants to talk to Nicole. So she wants to talk to kind of the some of the fringe members of their alliance and see maybe what they want to do, where they want to proceed. Izzy is so torn right now. Cirie definitely, I think, as much as I can, I think Cirie would perhaps like to keep Riley. Izzy's just been going back and forth all day. So she's going to talk to some other people, potentially convince them, more likely see what they can convince her to do. She's trying to figure out how she's going to do it. So she's going to talk to Corey and Nicole a little bit later. All right, we've got Izzy and Cirie talking again. It's fun watching these two play the game. I think they're pretty good strategists, but even when they aren't, they certainly are always full of ideas. So we've got Izzy and Cirie talking. Cirie is saying that she is going to go off on Hisam after the eviction, that she's going to call him out for making this new alliance with Jag and Blue. She's not going to let him just get away with that without getting called out a little bit. And Izzy is responding saying she's wondering if they should tell Bowie Jane about this plan to flip at this point in time to save Riley. But Cirie is saying that she hates telling people all this information. It's too early. Yay, Cirie. Shut it down. It's too early. Why? They've already said they don't necessarily trust Bowie Jane. So now why are you going to tell her that you're going to do the flip if they want to try and make this would you call it a blind side on Hisam, since he's not actually on the block, but certainly them wanting to catch Hisam off guard in this plan. So yeah, don't tell everyone else. You don't need to do it right now. And I think she's starting to recognize this. At one point, Cirie says that mentions, I can't remember who it was to, Izzy maybe. She says, look, I'm realizing that 1 week of Survivor or 1 week of Big Brother represents 6 hours of Survivor. That everything takes so much longer in here as compared to Survivor. Survivor just rush, make your decisions, move on to the next vote, challenge, competition, whatever. Big Brother's not like that. A week of Big Brother is just a few hours inside the Survivor game. Yeah, there's quite a bit of difference, and she's figuring it out. So we got that. We got Cirie and Felicia, and I say Cirie again, so I don't know who else she's talking to. Oh, and Hisam. Cirie, Felicia, and Hisam, I think, in the gym area. Hisam is worried about Riley because he's worried that she's going to stick around because he has heard people saying, post Cameron, post Riley, whichever way it goes. And he's recognizing that if people are still talking about the possibility of Riley sticking around, that obviously there's some conversations taking place, that they aren't settled completely, or else people wouldn't even be throwing that out there still. So he's worried that there's been a lot of talk. He mentioned a few times, there's a lot of people scrambling around today. That's really interesting if we're all going to vote out Riley. So he's a little bit worried about that. He says that his concern is that Riley will backdoor him if she stays. He has no power. He can't compete for HOH, and he knows that Riley's going to go after him. So that's his concern. What he maybe needs to be just as concerned with is that, yeah, Riley absolutely is going to go after him, but so is everyone else in the house. So yeah, he doesn't understand just how much of a target he is, just how much under the gun he's going to be on Thursday. Man, you talking about going from feast to famine. HOH, him feeling like he controls the world's going to be falling down around him as soon as the next HOH is crowned. I'm trying to think, pretty much regardless of who gets it, he's going to be such an easy target. He better have one more veto win in his pocket come next Saturday if he wants to stick around. All right. So he is worried about that. Hisam is saying that they can't mess up. They just have to get her out. None of this wishy-washy, trying to get too fancy and all that. They just have to get her out. Well, that's from his standpoint, yes. I don't think it's going to matter. I still think you're in trouble, Hisam. All right. We've got Felicia telling Hisam and Cirie that she's afraid that she won't get another chance to go after Riley if they don't do it now. Now, does she really mean this, or does she is she just saying it for the sake of Hisam being in the room? Not really sure, and that's the difficulty. Is everyone is scared of Hisam, even though he's not going to have any power next week. They're still scared of him blowing up. They're still scared that if he somehow wins a veto and survives, that he's going to take it personal, that they will be next on his target list. So you're not getting a lot of real honest talk at all whenever Hisam is in the room. But Felicia's saying, hey, we got to get Riley out while we can. Hisam is saying that, in this, Hisam says, you know what? If Riley stays, I'm just going to self-evict. I'm that certain, I'm that passionate that Riley has to go home. If it doesn't happen, I'm just going to walk out the door. Well, Hisam, don't let the door hit your bottom on the way out if that's the way you feel. I have to say, if whatever happens, Riley stays or not, if Hisam sees the writing on the wall that everyone is against him next week and he walks rather than get evicted out, yeah, I'm not into that at all, and I'll have choice words, but only if that happens. I'll save it till then. But yeah, he's saying he's going to self-evict if Riley doesn't go home. If he doesn't get his way, he'll self-evict. I think we saw some of that in Big Brother Canada this year. I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now. All right, we've got Cirie and Izzy and Matt and Riley talking I think they're talking in the have-not room. Riley is selling this idea that she's this huge human shield for everyone else, that as long as I'm in the house, I'm going to be a target, and I'm going to be in front of some of y'all when it comes down to it. So she's trying to change her pitch a little bit. She's been offering people protection, but beyond that, she's also saying, I'll just naturally be the target. So why would you get rid of me? And that's the contrast. Could she be a target? Yes. Could she also consolidate some of that power and again have some control, some agency in the house? Yeah, and that's what everyone has to figure out, which is the scarier part or the more beneficial part. Felicia has doesn't have anything to do with the game, but Felicia has been complaining that she just doesn't have the ingredients in the house to craft some proper meals. She's upset that they had every kind of butter substitute in the house except for real butter. So she complained to Big Brother. It worked. She got her some butter. So we'll see what kind of wonderful meals Felicia can cook going forward. I love watching Felicia play the game. Go Felicia. I'm really enjoying watching her. All right, we got Jag excitedly telling Blue about a new alliance that they're trying to put together. A core group would be Izzy and Cirie and Riley, and then Jag and Blue, but also a lot of plus ones attached to that. Riley would have Matt. Jag would have, I think that's America. Izzy would have Nicole. Cirie would have Felicia. So this little core group, but then they have extra people to pad the votes and everything else that they can get rid of when they need to. Jag's explaining how this plus one alliance strategy works to Blue, saying, yeah, we put one of our members up on the block, or we make sure that every time one of our members is on the block, one of these plus ones are on a block as well. So we always vote them out every time. We control the numbers, the voting majority. We vote out these plus ones, so we keep our core in place. So Jag's excited that maybe there's this new organization, a little bit of a merge of him and Blue with Cirie and Izzy and their group, bring in some plus ones, the world looks bright and happy, right? All right, we'll see. Sometimes those explain better than they actually work out. Felicia and Riley talking in the storage room. Felicia is saying, "Look, I think you're okay, Riley, but you need to act like you're still getting evicted. Don't let it be known that you feel comfortable, or else Hisam's going to know what's up. So just play it on the down low, act all depressed and upset, and but I think you're probably good. We'll see." All right, we've got Izzy and Sari in the storage room as well. They're giddy. I'll throw that word out there. They are absolutely giddy over what Hisam's reaction is going to be if he sees Riley saved. They're laughing about how the shock, the look on his face that they're going to have, be able to see if Riley's saved. So they're laughing about that. They're tired of hearing Hisam talking in this house about character and integrity. And it's a lot of it is the fact that he tried to form all these other alliances, and that he's just been heavy-handed with his HOH. They're tired of hearing that the game he's playing is some kind of special game. They again, a lot of people just want to see Hisam knock down a peg or two, a bunch of pegs. Because he's just been kind of the lord of the house this week. Sari leaves. Eventually, Jared comes in. So now we got Jared and Izzy. And Izzy is saying that, mentioning that Hisam has now started referring to them as the leftovers. And I didn't actually hear him say that, but she says that. She did say earlier that she thought that Hisam, one of the reasons he seems so upset with Riley and them is a little bit of jealousy that he wasn't included with that group, that instead he's been lumped in with, I think she said, the older people, the fat people, that Hisam's kind of been left over with what she's now saying he's referring to as the leftovers. I think she's right. I think that's one of the reasons he's upset, maybe among multiple reasons. All right, we got Nicole and Izzy talking about Hisam in the comic room. Nicole is saying that Hisam said he wanted to go after Jag and Blue next week. Those are his next targets. Wasn't he just trying to bring them into alliance? Well, maybe that alliance isn't quite as strong. I don't think anyone thinks that alliance is actually strong, but doesn't mean the discussions weren't still had. So yeah, Nicole saying Hisam has said now he's going to go after Jag and Blue next week. Nicole and Izzy are both saying, yeah, we don't trust anything that Hisam says at this point in time. He's certainly going to be watching out for us going forward. Izzy's talking, telling Nicole that Hisam called him the leftover. So again, she's mentioning that. Nicole still not really understanding or agreeing with this plan to keep Riley. It seems very straightforward to her. Get her out before she gets new power. These other guys, Cameron, Hisam, they're lone wolves at this point in time. Now, Cameron does have Red, maybe, but for the most part, she's saying they don't have the possibility of grabbing power the way Riley does. Why? And I think it's a valid point. I think Nicole, of everyone in the house right now, I feel like Nicole is maybe handling this the best from a logical standpoint and not letting emotions get in the way and interfere. She hadn't done a lot of big gameplay. She's been sitting back and listening, and I think that's paying off right now. So yeah, she's she's kind of questioning Izzy on why this is still even a topic that's been so much time spent over the past few days with it. And she mentions Izzy. She says, "Look, I'm just worried that Riley, if she survives, she's going to grab Jag and Blue and Matt and Jared, and we're going to be right back to square one of having to deal with those guys and that alliance." Good point. All right, Corey and Jared and Nicole in the gym area downstairs. Nicole is also worried, not just about the wishy-washy and all that. Nicole's worried that if Riley does stay, how is she going to fit in with Riley and her group? Later, she mentions that she and Riley just don't really talk. They haven't talked that much, so she doesn't feel any particular bonds with Riley, and so she's worried what would happen in a post-Riley world, a post-Cameron Riley, if Riley's still around. And Corey responds, "Now I get it, I understand, but ask yourself the same question about a Corey world, or a Cameron world instead. If Cameron's still here, how are you going to fit in with whatever groups form if Cameron's in the house?" I don't think she's as worried about that because she doesn't see Cameron grabbing a bunch of people the way she does with Riley. All right, we've got Hisam in the comic room telling Bowie and Izzy and Felicia and Sari how Jag and Blue need to be the next targets. Again, he had said this earlier as well. Have them as next targets. Corey as the backup. It's not that he's suggesting these names. If he suggested the names, I think people would be more receptive. It's that he is very much saying these will be the names. You aren't going to be HOH next week, Hisam. You aren't making the calls, and yet he's very much treating it as though he is the leader of the group. And if he says Jag and Blue are going up next, that's who's going up next. He just rubs people the wrong way. He's a doctor. His bedside manner may need a little improvement, so to speak, in doctor speak. All right, Hisam is saying that all of Riley's alliance members have been approaching him for deals to try to work together and all that. So he's laughing about this, that he has all this power, that everyone's coming to him. Well, it's getting ready to change, Hisam. All right, we got Corey and Riley in the upstairs pool room. Riley is saying that her target is certainly Hisam to start with. But Corey's saying, yeah, everyone's going to go after Hisam. After Hisam, then what do you think you're going to do? And Riley's saying, well, I really don't want to get more blood on my hands. I've already been through that. She says, I don't want to get more blood on my hands. So once Hisam is gone, if I was to win HOH, she said, I'd probably go after the floaters, maybe Bowie Jane, maybe Red, maybe Mimi. Go after the people who aren't really firmly aligned with one side or the other. And so that's who she wants to go after. Remember, as I said before, Bowie Jane needs to be careful because her name's getting thrown out quite a bit. Corey is reminding Riley that he said, you got all these people over on your side, but just always remember there was only one person, and that's Matt, who's going to fight for you no matter what. He said the others, they were quick to vote against you when they thought the times weren't going well. So I just remember that, Riley, going forward. Corey's talking about the possibility of throwing HOH or talking about the possibility of getting Blue to throw HOH because he feels like Blue is one of the people who would never put Corey on the block, never put Hisam on the block. Remember, Hisam said he wasn't going to put Blue on the block because of their shared sexual orientation, and so as a result, he's going to protect her. And I think Blue's feeling like maybe she needs to protect him. So Corey's saying, look, maybe we need to just convince Blue not to really play so hard in this next HOH because she is the one person that maybe won't target Hisam if she's in the HOH room. All right, Izzy and Sari are talking alone. This is where it gets a little tough because we're hearing things back and forth, different things. Izzy and Sari are alone, so I think they're being honest in their conversation with each other. They're talking, they're agreeing that they're probably 75% or so leaning towards keeping Riley. Okay, so we're keeping Riley, right? All right, well, just like 45 minutes later, everything's changing again. We'll talk about that in a second. But later, Cameron comes in, tries to talk to Bowie and Suri and Izzy, do a little campaigning of his own. They pretty much just shut him down and said, hey, just be chill. Just calm down, Cameron. You're good. You're good. It's, it may not be unanimous, but you're going to be good, Cameron. So just chill. Just stay on the download. Don't worry about it. They really don't want to hear a pitch from them. They just kind of get shutting that down before they get started. All right. Now remember how Suri and Izzy said, like 75%, we're gonna keep Riley. Well, not more than 45 minutes later, they're now in the storage room. And now they're talking about keeping Cameron because they think that, first of all, Cameron will go after Hisam if he's still in the house. And it's going to keep Hisam from getting upset with Sari and Izzy. And their fear is that if he gets upset, if he understands what's going on, he's going to play much harder. He can't play in HOH, but he can still play in the veto. They're worried that once he gets a fire lit under him, once he realizes his game's at risk, that he's going to fight so hard in a veto competition. So they're saying, if we get rid of Riley, if he thinks that the world is perfect, that he's still calling the shots, he's already said he doesn't really want to compete hard. So maybe he'll lay off the veto competition and then we could backdoor him. So now they're thinking that, maybe it's not 75% to keep Riley at this point in time. They're also saying that if they go ahead and keep Cameron, send Riley out the door, that Cameron's going to be grateful to them for saving them. It's going to keep Riley's side from reforming in any kind of group. And so they're thinking that now maybe this is the best way to go. Send Riley out the door. But they're trying to figure out how they can tell Jag and Blue this, since they just got through saying they're going to save Riley. How do they explain why they've backed off? Well, what they're theoretically going to say is that they're going to tell Jag that that the two of them and Felicia, that Izzy and Sari and Felicia really wanted to save Riley, but it became obvious that the others in the alliance, Bowie Jane, Red, and Mimi, weren't going to do it. They were dead set on voting out Riley. That they realized that they didn't have the numbers, that if they tried to push it through, they were only going to split up their group. And so that's why they went ahead and flipped and sent Riley out the door. So they're going to throw the others under the bus and say, we wanted to save her, but we just couldn't make it happen. So they're trying to figure out how they can explain this away. We'll see what happens. It may change in another hour. All right, Jared's talking to Blue in the bathroom. He's upset with Hisam. The story of the day. He's upset with Hisam because he wasn't included in Hisam's new alliance, because he's not brown, because he's black instead, and therefore he wasn't the right skin color shade to be part of Hisam's alliance. How silly is it that we're seeing so much discussion this season having to do with skin color, when I just don't feel like anything this season has. We've got the diversity. We've got people playing the game, and yet it's still such a topic. So yeah, Jared's upset with the fact that he's a person of color, but obviously not the person of the right color for Hisam's strategies. All right, we've got Jag and Riley and Matt talking in the have not room. Matt is saying that Hisam was kind of threatening Matt. And apparently what he said was that if you vote to save Riley, Matt, we're going to know. And you'll probably be next. So just keep that in mind when you're deciding how to cast your vote. So yeah, Hisam once again coming in a little heavy-handed, threatening Matt a little bit. And pretty much the whole house is starting to hear that Hisam threatened Matt. That's not going to help him at all. But Riley is saying she's worried because she does feel like people are starting to back off saving her because they're hearing about these Hisam threats. And they're starting to think, one of the ideas was, a lot of people were bouncing around, was that as long as Riley's in the house, Hisam's going to go after her. So if we vote to save her, yeah, Hisam may be upset with us, but she's his target, not us. Well, now after hearing this threat that Hisam made to Matt, Riley's worried that a lot of people are thinking that, yeah, maybe Hisam will go after them instead of her if she sticks around. And as a result, she's worried that people are starting to back off on the whole Save Riley campaign. And it's a fair worry of hers. Matt does mention, says that as long as Hisam is in this house, he's going to try to bully. He's going to try to continue to control us as a group. He's not going to change going forward. Riley's talking a little bit about her campaigning. She's mentioning that Cameron is following her around. She thinks that he wants to see who she's talking to and maybe hear what she's saying, but he just keeps following her around. And sure enough, just a little after that, Cameron kind of awkwardly walks into the have-not room where they're at, checks in, says, what are y'all talking about? And I think they said, we were talking about Maine and whatever. And he just kind of then awkwardly leaves after a little while. So Cameron knows that he's supposed to be pitching, knows he's supposed to be campaigning, but I'm not sure from a social standpoint that he's quite has the social skills to do an effective campaign. There's been a lot of awkward entering rooms and trying to participate and not really making a lot happen, which in a weird way helps Cameron, because the more he does that, the more the other people are looking at him saying, he's not gonna do anything. Why worry about getting him out? We'll get him out later. He's not a threat at this point in time. So do what you do, Cameron. It may be working more than you think. All right, we got Jared and Corey complaining about the back and forth, as am I, and a lot of people. They're really getting perturbed with the back and forth on. Both of them are saying that they don't even care anymore. They just want to have a choice made. I think it's Jared that says, we're shutting this down tomorrow, dude. We're not going to keep doing this. We're going to make a decision, and that's going to be it. But I don't care what it is. I just want a decision made. I get it, Jared. I absolutely get it. All right, we got Izzy and Jared and Corey. Izzy is also tired of the back and forth, but she's saying, but we're all new to this. This is part of the game. And she says something about it, that really she should have had her internal dialogue first before she vocalized it, and that would have helped. Uh, they are going to get better as they play the game, I think. But she's saying, yeah, I get it, and it's rough, but it's part of the game. It is when you start planning so early in the week, certainly. Izzy is saying that she's torn between respect for Cirie and her own feelings. Cirie wants to get rid of Riley. Izzy is kind of feeling the opposite because of her hatred of Hisam and a lot of other reasons. So she's saying, I respect Cirie, but I also respect my feelings as well. Is this the beginning of a little bit of a crack, a little bit of a wedge between Cirie and Izzy? It's probably too early to say that, but Izzy is maybe looking at playing her own game a little bit, or at least wanting to play her own game. She did later ask Jared. She said, I hope I'm not getting Cirie. I hope, is Cirie playing me? And Jared shut that down real quick, said, look, if you're going to start making those kind of comments, maybe we shouldn't be working together, because you got to trust us. You just have to trust us. And so Izzy backed off very quickly, but the statement was made. All right, we've got Corey and Nicole in the bathroom. Corey thinking that Riley's probably going to go home on an 11-1 vote. I'm kind of leaning that way too. I think the tide has turned on Riley right now. Nicole is saying, I don't care any longer. Nicole, who is the most determined to get Riley out from this side of the alliance, she's burned out as much. I don't care anymore. But yeah, if it's 11-1, it works for me. All right. These house guests just started plotting too early in the week. Now they're all fatigued. So what does that mean? It means the people that have the strongest voices, Izzy, Cirie, they're going to make the final decisions. Everyone else at this point in time is throwing their hands up saying, just tell me how you want me to vote. I don't care anymore. Just tell me how to vote. So I think as Izzy and Cirie vote, that's how the tide will turn. And right now, I think it's to send Riley out the door. All right, real quick, we'll finish this up. Matt telling Riley that she did well today with her pitches, with everything she was talking about, the people she was talking to. Riley saying, look, I just don't want to go home before Hisam. Maybe I don't make it to the end, but I want Hisam to go home before me at this point in time. Riley is talking about who maybe she still needs to talk to today. She's saying she just doesn't talk to Nicole that much. Izzy had told her that Nicole is going to be hard to convince, that she's pretty resolute and maybe wanting Riley home. And Riley's realizing she just doesn't have that relationship with Nicole. She's also worried about Felicia because Felicia thinks that once Hisam is gone, that she's probably the next target. Yeah, I think Felicia's a little better protected than that, but she's worried about that. So Felicia maybe is leaning a little bit. Well, I don't know. She's worried what happens. She's thinking about what's going to happen beyond Riley versus Cameron. So she's worried about Felicia a little bit. She's worried a lot about Bowie Jane. She says Bowie Jane's going to do whatever Hisam wants her to do. And so if Hisam wants me to go on, Bowie Jane may be a lost cause. So she's still counting votes. She's still trying to figure out who she can sway and who not. And then she also mentions that the Red will probably want to keep Cameron because she recognizes they have a little bit of a tight bond as well. So yeah, start of the day, it seemed like Riley was looking pretty good. By the end of the day, as we get into this morning, maybe not so much. It seems like the tide has turned. But again, we still have another 36 hours. We'll probably get 4 or 5 flip-flops between now and then. I'm tired, I'm telling you. Yeah, I'm just like Jared. Just make a decision. Let's see what happens. Everyone in bed by, it's actually a little bit early evening. They were in bed by 2 o'clock or so, Big Brother time, plus or minus. Lights were still on, but most people were in bed, at least trying to sleep. And there you have it, guys. A whole lot of tired house guests. One tired recapper as well. We'll see what the next 36 hours bring. But in the meanwhile, guys, y'all have a fantastic Wednesday. I will check in tomorrow. Tomorrow's eviction day. Going to be a heck of an HOH competition, I think, as well. So until then, guys, SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Bye.